What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over what I think are the best third-person mid-range weapons in Fortnite Chapter 5. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what you think of using the third-person weapons. And if you guys don't really know what I mean by third-person weapons, this is going to be the weapons that don't have a sight on them. So when you aim in, your reticle just gets smaller, but you're still in third person. And for a lot of Fortnite, especially in zero build, since they added the red dot weapons like the MK7, the red eye assault rifle, the twin mag AR, those were pretty much just always better in zero build because you didn't have to worry about bloom. And that is where, you know, the bullet can go anywhere within your crosshair and it's kind of random. And so you might be thinking, like, why would anybody ever want to use a third person weapon? And I think the main reason for that is just going to be because of how good these snipers are this season and how many players are just using snipers for pretty much all of their like mid to long range encounters. The third person weapons, they do have bloom, which isn't going to be as much of a problem this season. We'll talk about it later on, but they allow you to kind of have more peripheral vision and kind of more mobility in terms, like, it's easier to like strafe around and move around and shoot with the third person weapons, I think, and still kind of be aware of your surroundings. And I think it's also much easier to track people who are using mobility with these third person ARs because you're not as zoomed in as much. You don't lose as much of that peripheral vision, and it's also a bit easier for you to make those large adjustments and track them. So people using like the grapple blade, the shock waves, even the crash pads, I think are going to be much easier to track with these third person weapons. And some people just kind of like the third person weapons anyways. Like if you've been playing Fortnite for a long time, you might be more comfortable with these third person weapons or just feel like you have more awareness. And typically the trade-off, you were trading with the first person weapons, you would gain accuracy and consistency at range, but you would lose some of that peripheral vision, you would lose some of that like mobility kind of, and you would lose the ability to like make those large adjustments because you were more zoomed in, where that those upsides I feel like aren't as big of a deal this season because of how good snipers are, like I touched on anyways. Like any fight like past like 40-50 meters, you're probably just going to be sniping anyways, so that added range or like ranged effectiveness with the red dot ARs I don't think is as big of a deal this season. So if you are somebody who enjoys using the third person weapons, there are some great options for you this season, and I don't think it's really that big of a deal to go away from the red dot ARs this season. I still probably prefer to use a striker AR with a red dot or the 1.35x hollow sight in my like AR slot or like spray weapon slot, but I would recommend trying out these other weapons, like I said, especially if you are someone who is going to be sniping a lot anyways. And the first is going to be the Nemesis AR, and you might be very surprised with that. I'm not a huge fan of this weapon. There are definitely people who enjoy it, but if you haven't used the Nemesis AR without a scope on it, you might be missing out. It's surprisingly good. I really don't know why, especially when you get it in the higher rarities. I feel like a lot of players probably haven't used it without a sight in the higher rarities, but the bloom on this weapon is very minuscule. I pretty much just full sprayed all of the time while using it, and it wasn't a hassle whatsoever. I actually enjoy the Nemesis AR, I think, much more without a sight than with it. And again, I think that makes very little sense because when a lot of people think of this weapon, they're going to think of like a long range weapon. But when you have the sniper for range anyways, you know, the no sight Nemesis AR is surprisingly good at medium range, especially dealing with anybody using any sort of mobility in those ranges as well. I think I actually like the Nemesis AR more without a sight on it than with it. So if I was going to go for an AR, I think the Nemesis AR is the best third person AR in the game right now. The Striker AR is still good in third person, but I feel like you have to be more concerned about the bloom and managing that and how you're going to shoot it, whether or not you're bursting, tap firing, or full autoing. The Nemesis AR retains a lot of accuracy even while like strafing and full spraying, so I think this is a great choice. The next choice I think is actually going to be the best third person option in the game right now, and that is going to be the burst SMG. And that is because with the laser sight equipped, this weapon has literally no bloom. It has constant first shot accuracy, whether you're hip firing or even aiming in for some reason. And I know a lot of you probably use it with a sight anyways if you're using it as like your kind of pseudo AR. But the third person burst SMG I actually think is very good. There's no bloom, like I touched on before. I'll have some clips on screen now of me shooting people mid-range. These are AI, I'm pretty sure, so it's not like that impressive in terms of me killing them, but it's impressive in the sense of like how accurate the weapon is at range. So if you have good aim and you like the third-person weapons, the burst SMG with the laser sight attachment is ridiculous, and then you also have the added benefit of what as well of the perfectly accurate hipfire, which I made another video on and kind of talked about before, but the perfectly accurate hipfire is also good in any sort of close range fight, but it's also great when you're shockwaving at somebody because you can shockwave and then spray down from the sky with perfectly accurate hipfire. So if I was going to use a third person weapon, or if I wanted to use a third person weapon, I think I would definitely be going for the burst SMG with a laser sight, and I could definitely see this weapon becoming the meta if the pump shotgun gets a buff or if the auto shotgun gets a nerf. If either of those things happen and then the game kind of goes towards a pump meta, I think pump burst will be like the best combo in the game. And having that perfectly accurate hipfire and ADS fire with the laser sight attachment, I think will be very good, and you'll be able to be very accurate while also being mobile. And the final weapon I want to touch on is going to be the Ranger pistol. I think it's good in third-person form if you like the third-person weapons for that kind of adaptability like we talked about before, just not having as much of your peripheral vision impacted by aiming in. I think the Ranger pistol is very good. It's enjoyable to use. It hits hard to the head, I think like 50 damage or so. So it's not a bad option by any mean, and a lot of players just kind of enjoy using pistols anyways, and the Ranger pistol will definitely fill that void for you. I don't think you're going to regret using this weapon if you like using pistols and if you want to use a third person weapon anyways. I think it does that great, but I think the other two choices, like I touched on before, were probably better. I just wanted to mention the pistol because I think it's solid and I think it's pretty underrated, but I would rather use the burst SMG with the laser sight attachment if I was going to use a third person weapon. But that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what you thought of this. If you haven't used any of these weapons in the third person mode, especially the burst SMG, I would highly recommend doing it. And I think you might be surprised how much easier it is to track people that are kind of like close medium range, especially those using mobility, people using cars. And I think you might also be surprised how much you don't miss the red dots because of how good the snipers are. If you're someone who's good at sniping and you're sniping a lot, I really don't think you'll miss the red dot ARs that much, but that is going to be it for this. I'm going to let some gameplay play out. The gameplay is going to be unrelated to the video, but it is my 200th crown win this season, and it was a very interesting lobby. There was a lot of people left alive in the end game. So I'm going to let that play out. I hope you guys enjoyed it and enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Hopefully there's nobody in this bush. Because I wanted to maybe get on the windmill and then like look to kill that echo, but there was also somebody else in the windmill, so if I fight either of them I just get third partied by the other. And that's kind of how like all these fights have been. Why did that not hit? Didn't want to hit the tire. There's more bunkers in that bunker, and I know that. I'm just waiting. Dang, man. Why did he just randomly stop? Sniper's not loaded. Probably dead now because sniper's not loaded. I like messed up my mantle getting up there. I need to snipe him. Probably now. Because it's like I'm so weak that he just automatically has an HP advantage on me. I don't know where he went. I just go on it, I guess. But yeah, with how he was playing earlier, I thought he would just like hop on me. That was actually my 200th crown win as well this season. But with how he was playing earlier, I thought he would just hop on me with the auto shotty. That was why I was like not happy with the fact that I was weak. Because if someone's gonna just 50-50 like that, and then you're already weak, like GG's, you know?